Oh, dude, Mike, I'm feeling a little under the weather today, and I'm wondering if this movie made me sick.
It could be.
It
It
could
could
be.
be. I feel I will say that, in a very, very perverse way, I kind of enjoyed it. In the way that, like, you wanna get a handle on it. When you have people who are, sort of your ideological opponent or whatever, you do wanna get, like a window into their world. And I got a real window into the mind of Jeremy Boring of the Daily Wire with this one.
Hey, that's Coach Rob to you, Mike. All
I
right,
already forgot
folks.
the name of this character.
All right. Well, folks, the news cycle is pretty bleak right now. We've been covering the Iran war. That is not a war, but it is war, and it's for Israel. No, no, wait, no, it's with Israel. It's they still don't seem to really even understand what's going on themselves. Um, and on Monday's episode, we're going to have a longtime seasoned journalist on. We're going to be unpacking in more depth something we talked about on the last main feed, which is how anti Semitism is really kind of fracturing the MAGA movement. So we're going to unpack that more. But we thought we would revisit some of the cultural output of the MAGA movement circa 2023. Because as you were saying, Mike, that kind of feels like the last point in time where the MAGA movement felt really cohesive and in lockstep.
Yeah, well, they had a shared enemy in Biden and liberalism. We've often talked about how there were like 3 consecutive Trump administrations, but I feel like that they were at their most happy during the middle one, which is the Biden years, because they were able to train their fire together, right? Like the way they did against Hillary Clinton. That is when they're at their happiest. They don't actually seem to really care about policy, which I think is something we'll probably get into in Lady Ballers, because it really is a window into the mind. It's not really like a policy thing. There's no real policy. There's just petulance and grievance and being rich and they're very they're not really in need of anything in terms of material wants. And anyway, yeah, there's a sort of philo-Semitic and anti-Semitic split that has happened. It's not just the Iran war. This is happening over Epstein. It's happening over Trump's relationship with Netanyahu. It's been happening really throughout the second Trump term, but it probably really started, if you look back on it back in 2017. So this was the last time when you could call it a cohesive thing. You have people like Ben Shapiro on screen prominently. There are very few people who want to associate themselves with Ben Shapiro now. So this is a good what's the word I'm looking for? Um,
It's like a
uh,
time capsule almost.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yes, yes, it's like
Yeah,
a time
so
capsule.
so Mike already revealed it, but on this episode we're going to take a look at a film the Daily Wire's live streaming platform, their entertainment studio in Nashville, Tennessee, put out on December 1st, 2023. It's a feature-length film, 1 hour and 50 minutes, called Lady Ballers.
But this is the longest hour and 50 minutes you could possibly imagine. I split it up between 2 watches that both felt like they were like 3 hours. I felt like I watched The Thin Red Line twice.
It really dragged. We took on some psychic damage for this, and but some context around like why this movie exists. Why is the Daily Wire making TV shows and movies and entertainment programming? Well, as long as I can remember, the conservative movement has just endlessly complained that the culture was too liberal, right? You could look at politics, you could say whatever you want about politics during the George Bush years, whatever, but the culture was just way too liberal. And that really started with the religious right. I mean, you could wind the clock all the way back to Reagan, right? The reason right-wing media exists is because people like Sheldon Adelson of Fox News and, a host of others thought that the media was just too mean to the president, way too mean to Reagan. Why is the media trying to take out a president? We need something to counteract it. That's the reason all of it exists. And thanks in large part to Andrew Breitbart popularizing the idea that politics is downstream from culture, we have seen in the last couple decades right-wing donors just pony up outrageous amounts of money to produce their own cultural offerings, whether it is Dennis Prager's Prager University, what's the show that was on X that ran very briefly? The Norm Show?
Is it like Norm something?
Yeah, the Norm Show or something.
Yeah.
Universally panned. They're cutting these checks to influencers and podcasters, just really trying to juice it up. And the Daily Wire has been at the front of that, taking a ton of money from some very wealthy, I think, fracking millionaires, billionaires.
Cool.
Right? So that are hardcore religious ideologues that are financing a lot of the Daily Wire, because this, as we'll talk about in a second, this site is not profitable. We both unfortunately spent $3.99 a piece to rent this movie from another evil man, Jeff Bezos, on Amazon. So you better believe we're writing it off as a business expense on this year's taxes.
Yes.
But Lady Ballers, let's talk about that.
Yes. Yeah. What do you want? Some initial thoughts other than what I already gave, or do you want to just jump right into it?
I guess I'll fill in a little bit about the movie to kind of tee it up. It is an anti-trans fictional story that came into existence because the Daily Wire was trying to film a pseudo-documentary on the heels of Matt Walsh's What is a Woman film.
Yes.
That got rave reviews among other right-wing media and got circulated around.
It was a bit of a cultural Biden era hit too. It was kind of like, that was like, they got a whole, it was like peak anti-woke, it's like peak.
I mean, you have members of Congress to this day, when they have, liberal mayors or whatever come in to testify, will get up there and be like, what is a woman? What is a woman? It's like a parrot. So they're trying to follow this up with another smash anti-trans, quote unquote documentary, where they're going to try to get a male athlete enrolled in female sports or women's sports.
Yes.
That is unsuccessful. They cannot get their person into these leagues because they all smell bullshit and are like, get out of here. So instead, what they end up doing is producing this fictional movie, spending about $7 million to produce it. And even then, that was, kind of, it was met with some obstacles. There were protests.
If I may just quickly say, just add a thought here, Jared, which is, like, if you see this fucking movie, and you're just kind of like trying to, the best way to understand it as you're watching it is like, they knew the premise of the movie was bullshit because they tried it in real life.
Yeah.
And so they are trying to create the reality that they're angry about. Right? Like, they're trying to, right? They know that, like, you can't just be like a random basketball ringer and get into the WNBA. They know that because they tried it. Right?
Yeah.
So they have to create the fake thing to get mad at. So that's already in their heads, right? That they have to make it up to get mad at. And I think that really informs basically what we see on the screen.
Yeah. So when they were filming, there were protests. They had to pay the extras in the film. They had to double their daily pay to something like $300 just to get them to stick around. And we were talking before we were recording, Mike, you can see it in the film. There'll be one shot where an arena is full of people, and then it'll cut to another shot that's supposed to be during the same game, and the place is like half empty, right? So they seem to have struggled to even staff roles in this film. In addition to the $7 million they spent making this thing, according to reporting I found, an analysis of the ad library on Meta, where you can go and see what people are spending to advertise on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, found that they had spent $1.6 million trying to promote this film in the month ahead of its release. And it panned. They did not get another What is a Woman hit. Instead, they just got a very strange film featuring Jeremy Boring as the
Yeah,
lead.
he really okay. Should we tell people who Jeremy Boring is?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so
I'm in a golf simulator league because it's cold in Chicago, and I don't want to completely suck when I play again when it gets warm. And someone on my team listened to the show and was like, "I like the podcast, but I had no idea what was going on because I don't watch the news." So yeah, let's explain Jeremy Boring.
Yeah, I mean, so he's like the head honcho of the Daily Wire, and I don't think he is anymore. He's left, right?
I feel like I remember seeing something like that, but it's escaping me right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was like the architect of the era that brought in all these like Matt Walsh type guys and et cetera. And he's like a wannabe Hollywood guy. He was involved in some production, in Hollywood before.
It's like all the Daily Wire guys, though. It's like
Yeah.
they tried to make it in Hollywood, didn't, and instead picked up political punditry.
So he clearly like was looking at their options to make this, and he was like, "Oh, we can make a movie." And he's thinking to himself, "This is my chance to this is my chance to be on screen a lot and preen." Because this motherfucker likes to preen. He likes to be on he's a sort of a diminutive looking guy. He looks like like a smaller version of Wolverine with like no muscle, right? Like if you just soyed out Wolverine and like shrunk him down, then that would be Jeremy Boring with his like he's a little like Wolf Blitzer. He's a little
Yeah.
like a younger Wolf Blitzer.
It's Wolverine smashing through the doors of the coffee shop and ordering a latte and being like, "Oh, oat milk, please."
Yeah. This guy is like softer than a sock that you found at the bottom of your dryer. This guy is just not he is so desperate to be loved and to be thought of as an entertainer. And it's obvious every time you see him, which is weird for a guy who's like mostly known as being an exec. But I think it says something about the entire Daily Wire team. Anyway, he did this like he kind of went semi-viral when he did an ad for Jeremy's Razors, which was like his version of like of like razor companies where they were doing ads that were sort of like trans open, or they didn't hate trans people or whatever in the ad. So therefore he had to make his own razors and sort of sold those. The ad kind of got like, I don't know, like at least millions of views. I don't know how much of it were robots, but
Gillette razors used to be the best a man could get. Then they decided that men are too toxic. Unless you're the kind of man who teaches his daughter to shave her beard. If that makes sense to you, keep buying Gillette. But if you've had enough of the woke bullshit, and you're tired of paying companies like Harry's and Gillette to hate you, then buy my new razor instead.
That sound was a flamethrower.
yeah. So he's had some proximity to Hollywood, and so he thinks that he's Steven Spielberg, and he wants to put all these kind of like bells and whistles into everything he does, and kind of perceives himself as a future star. And you can imagine very like clearly as you're watching this that he's thinking in the back of his head is like, wow, this was the moment. This might be the moment where people realize what I can do, right?
Yeah.
This is the moment
Yeah.
where I can, this is the moment where I've changed it all, where I started conservative Hollywood.
But it didn't really work out. I mean, the Daily Wire's entertainment wing is not in great shape. They were trying to make children's programming for a while. That offshoot shut down all the staff is laid off.
The offshoot was called like Bent Key or something, which is
Yeah,
sounds
weird
I don't
name for
know.
that. Yeah.
Does it just sounds like a place sounds like a game where children are like stored in like a castle and you have to get them out.
It sounds like what, uh, millennial Stanley Cup white woman would name her second child is like Bent Key.
Um, then they had like massive layoffs in their entertainment and streaming platforms. I feel, Jared, like, and we're going to talk about this at the end. I really feel that Daily Wire is really at the end of its, I don't think it's going to die overnight. Like
They have too much money. Yeah.
well, there's this kind of a zombie thing where you have a certain amount of followers. Even if you fall off, you can keep going. It's kind of like Steven Crowder, where it's like, he's just out there like a zombie poster. And then maybe one day he gets a hold of something that makes him viral again. He can pick those followers up again. But I do feel that like Daily Wire's influence really peaked around Lady Ballers.
Yeah. So I think with that, we can just get into the movie.